Okay, so if I'm recording this one, we'll start standing. Hello to anybody that couldn't make it, but you can see this one. So I'm going to go back here. So when we're standing, this idea of gravity is a really good reminder of, do you remember those pictures that I sent out of we are held by gravity, which is why we love watching birds so much, because they're not, they're up flying, they're using the air currents. We're held by gravity on the earth. So if you root yourself with your feet, they're meeting the ground. And then that lovely stack of all of you, including your head. And if you want to try closing your eyes, if it helps or not, to feel that sense of just standing still and being. Tadasana, the posture of being like a mountain, a solid base, peak at the top, but how it is for you now. And then take your feet a bit wider, so you've changed where your feet meet the earth. Spread the weight over all the bones of both feet, and then both feet together, so you've got that lovely space between. Balance the pelvis, balance the head. And this idea, it came to me a while ago, and I think it's on another one that I've done for you recording, this idea of a jack-in-a-box. If your head could fit in your pelvis bowl, this is like one box, and if the head is sitting above the box, so your spine is this lovely springiness between. So we're going to keep taking ourselves off gravity, up, forward, back, side to side. But for now, when you're standing upright, to make it easier for your head balanced on top of the spine, imagine it's like a head going down into the box, and it can spring up again from the box being rooted down. I know it's a strange analogy, but you're used to them now. So if you let the arms, you've got the feet a bit wide, let the arms come wider too, and that lovely sense of opening yourself up and coming back down to the middle. So different times, how this feels to you. I felt lately low energy, and you might, Viv, as well, this sense of scooping and resting. So you're not being greedy, you're just opening yourself up to the energy around you and pouring it down. And then bowing forward, hands go down the legs, towards the feet, towards the ground, but slowly, so that you release the tension in the back of you, and you eventually come to upside down of some sort. And just feel how it is there. How it is to be inverted. Your crown of the head that was at the top is now at the bottom. And if you could imagine where you are in space, feel how it is to carry on breathing. Doesn't matter how inverted you are. Yeah, partial's good. Take a few breaths. And when you're ready to come up, wide hands and out again. So you're opening up your leg pits, the armpits, moving all the muscles and coming back to rest. Come back to a together stance then. So you've got the feet actually closer together to do it the other way around. So a narrower tree base, going up to the sky and wide. And notice how your body, you're choosing to move these limbs, because I'm suggesting it, but what's happening to your breath? And wide again. Up through the heart centre, up to the top, piercing the space above you, draws the breath in, and then resting and forward bending again with the hands going down the legs as far as they want to go, halfway, all the way to the feet, to the floor. And then widen up again. So we'll do that with split legs. Similar thing, moving the muscles, moving the bones, and the fascial tissue that is connecting all the way through you is getting a lovely even stretching out. So 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, and the arms are going up to the top, down the middle, and then out to the side and behind you. So the shoulder blades, it's the shoulder blades on the end of your arms that are moving as they go round, they're sliding, moving, hands meet where they want to on the back, tipping forward. So very similar to what we've just done, but your split legs are forward and back now, and the hands are behind. Just take it a short way, even the weight over both feet, and have a lovely long spine. The jack-in-a-box is going forward. You tip the box on its side, springs going forward with the head on the end. And then tip the box as much as you like, so that the head starts to hang out on the spring out of the box. And then to come up, when you've decided you want to re-invert yourself, come back to upright, use the bent knee, the leg muscles, the rooting of the feet and then everything else follows. And swap the legs over. So it's a subtle whole bodiness. That's what's so good about all of this. The yoga, the union of everything. So we're going up to the top, out to the side, and then arms are going behind. But think of your arm as the whole wing, the whole shoulder, sliding, moving, resting on your back as you then go forward. It's a forward bend, but because you've got your legs one forward, one back, you'll get a lovely different stretch in them both. As far forward and over as you wish to go. Imagine the spring with the head on the end is tipping the box over and out. And let the head dangle. Ready to come up when you're ready. Up and out. And down. Simple, but all over. And just do any little bits of it when you're on your own. I'm just going to put this light on. Surprisingly, having had a lovely sunny day, surprisingly dark in here. Any little bits you do through the day, that's always going to help. But the best bit is when you notice your breathing, you keep that steady. So that's your mind's focus, is what the body's doing and what your breath's doing. And that's the peaceful bit. So should we run through the sun salutation together? Just because everybody here knows it, of a form that you're able to do. Yeah, so we're starting in the middle. You've got the rooted feet, the crown lifted, and the heart centered. So up, wide, forward bend that we've just done, as far forward over as you want, and then step back with one foot to come up with a bent knee. So back with one foot, yeah, up with the other. So there's an uprightness here, and then forward and over, back to the 2 feet, and back with the other foot. So you're coming up from the forward bend that we just did, that egret bird, up to the first warrior. So that's a version. And then forward again, and widen up. If you don't want to get down on the floor, well, that's just enough, you could do that one again. So if Pam, you want to run through that one again, a simple version of it, if everybody else wants to go to the floor, just choose your own variation. I love it when people freestyle what they need that suits them within a class. You know, I'm just offering guidance. And if you feel you want to do a slightly different version, that's the beauty. Yeah. So we're going up, wide, forward bending, all the way over. One leg back, that knee on the ground, if it's happy to do so, or a version where you're not doing the down on the floor bit, up to the top. And then over, some sort of inversion, either on 2 legs or 4. Onto the knees, if child's pose is for you at the moment. If not, we'll do it again later, those of you that aren't doing this bit. Through to the crown up, tail down. And then invert yourself again. So the shoulders and the pelvis, they're the 4 joints that are doing this work, and the 4 legs are on the ground. The leg that went back comes forward, and you're up again. So shifting this energy slowly, gently all over. When you're feeling tired, just to do one simple version of this, it's really quite, moves that stuck energy around, wide and up again. Good. Just pause. Okay, everybody's up. So we do it the other way around. But do you know the pauses, when you've done the movement, rather than rushing to the next one, actually to stop and pause. It's like when you're going for a walk, to stop occasionally and enjoy the view. Enjoy where you're walking. We can rush through too much of it. And the beauty and the benefit often of this is the pause between the postures to feel the effect of what you've just done. So we'll do the other side. Up, wide, half forward, as far forward as you want to go. Back with the other foot. I haven't said left and right so that you can choose which one you do. And up. Those of you that I can see, I'm just waiting to catch up. Yeah, whichever part of it you're at. Over then to be an inversion, either on 2 or 4. It's just to invert your body. So the crown is towards the ground, come onto the knees, and then the crown goes to the top and the tail's at the bottom. So what happens is you back bend the spine, which is what's so nice. Back up to the down face dog, or whatever inversion you're doing. The leg that went back comes forward, so the other hip gets to stretch, the legs get to change over, and you're gently, slowly, with the good, happy breathing, shifting stuff out, bringing new, fresh energy in. Widen up. And back. Good. So whatever version of any of this you do, it's all good. It's all better than not at all. And it actually is good to listen to what you need of a day and just do as much or less as you want. Sometimes I'm only doing 5-10 minutes. Sometimes it's a good hour or two, and just see how you feel, what you need. Okay, let's do the versions when we're twisting. So if we've got the one leg forward, the one leg back, the tip forward onto the chair or the worktop if you need it, forward a bit, not as much as you might think you want to do. Do a bit less of the forward so that when you rotate, you can keep an idea of your spine as a shadow on the floor, that you all know about it, not sending your bottom out to the side. So it starts from the foot at the back that starts the twist, the turn. You should feel it in lots of different places eventually when it's a familiar posture, that it's the forward bend supported by the feet and the rotation, and then the extension if that feels the right thing to do. The beauty of doing this outside in the garden, as I was doing out in the park this morning, is you get to see either your room or the sky or whatever it is on a different angle. So you're looking up towards the sky, the full rotation. And then come out of the postures the way you go in them. So down with the arm, undo the twist, up with the body, and back to 2 feet. We'll do the other version of this in a minute. This is just the first one. So other leg forward, other leg back. This idea of forward, and then the revolve. So all of you gets involved. The spine's revolving, but feel how it draws on the legs. So the one arm is hanging down, the other arm can extend up if it wants to. So you can still play with a posture even when you're in it. Don't feel stiff and stuck in it. Send your bottom away from the crown of your head. This Jack in the Box is having quite a good time now. It's on its side now. Spring along the floor in a revolve, looking up to the sky. Breathing happily. And out of the posture the way you come in. Let's do that one staying standing up, which is narrower, so it's less stable. I like to do that one first, and some of you I know that one and like it, where you've got the support for the hands at the front. This way you've got a narrower base, but it's a nicer, different way to come into the same posture. So rather than the pelvis staying and you twist the spine and the shoulders go, here we turn the pelvis to the side, the shoulders stay forward. So you've done the rotation of the lower half of you, then the tip over. So it's coming into the same end posture of your body, but you might get a different view. You can feel the posture subtly differently, you come into it a different way, but the key is to breathe comfortably. So you've got your upper rib, half of the ribs at the top here, half the arm is floating up, the other one's down. And you breathe in, cleared out cupboards, new fresh air coming in. Out and up to the middle. Feel the difference, feel the imbalance. Then there's a natural invitation to turn yourself the other way, to go forward. Well, you're going over to the side. This is the one, coming into it this way, if it helps, I like to think of the pelvic bowl as sort of tipping down your leg. And I feel the stretch quite differently, coming into the same posture a different way. It's such a good, well, it's a complicated one in a way, isn't it? You've got your split legs, you want your spine to still be long and revolved while it's horizontal. It's quite different than an upright one we'll do next. But here, the beauty is you've got one arm up, one arm down, the shoulder joints, the twist of the neck, the ribs. And out of it. And up and back and Tadasana. And how is it? Just feel how it is after all that. Because we're going to twist the other way now. So, which either of those two ways to come into the posture you like. whichever way you prefer. So if I look at I'll show you face on, but you can come into it either way. That coming forwards, if you're using the chair or a worktop forward, it would normally twist to the open way. But if you twist the other way, you probably won't go anywhere near as far, and the temptation is to lose the back foot as support. So have it where it really is a good support and play with it. That's the whole beauty of this. There's no rules. Play with it. How is it? How is it? I love the stretch that you get in your bottom going on these reverse twists. It feels like, oh, that's interesting. So the spine's long, horizontal, but just twisted the other way. And the hand may fly up, it may not. Whichever modification of it feels what you want to do within the idea of a forward bend rotated the other way. And coming out of it. And then the other way. It's the other leg. So you can do it the wide leg version if that suits. It's just that you can see me straight on this way to see what it is. So if I was coming forward we've done it onto the chair, onto the worktop. This open way, you'd have the forward leg hand as the support. So you can swap over the support. So that's on the chair or the worktop, or if you don't need it, it's dangling. Play with the inversion, the forwardness and the rotation. And if the arm wants to fly up, it draws on a bit more stretching. I mean, I've done this hundreds of times, but I can really feel a nice stretch in my bottom and legs. And it's quite a challenge. So meet the challenge as much as you want. But keep the breathing comfortable to get the benefit of the posture. Okay. And upright. Whatever version of it we each do is right for us. It doesn't have to look like me or a book or anybody. It's just the idea of split legs, forward bending, rotating one way, rotating the other. So let's do that upright. So one leg's forward, one leg's back, and then the body's coming down. So think of the jack-in-the-box idea again. The head's over the pelvis, that pelvis is level, but you're putting the box further down. Still lovely spring, support the head up on top, and bending the knee. So there's still this upright idea. Settle into the roots, and then let the arms float up. So when they are up, just as the upward arm felt in triangle just then, there's a lovely lightness when they play with gravity. So we're held by gravity onto the earth, but we can go against it. It takes some effort to go against it. But if you find that feeling of gravity's down your arms, but if it's directly down them and down the spine, it's quite restful. So then we'll swap over the arms. The forward arm can stay up and stretch the fingers away from each other. So the one is down and the other one's up. And you get a lovely, little bit more feeling of a stretch on the stretchy side. So reverse this. It's a lovely feeling to just, how is it to swap over those? And back again. And the feeling of doing postures again, you've done them many times, is, oh, that's interesting. Yes, I know it's a posture I've done lots of times, but oh, that feels different today. But so your mind is in the body and you're breathing comfortably. That's the union of all these aspects of yourself. Out of it, we'll swap over the side. So we're always trying to find balance, as everybody in nature always is, but actually it's always moving. You know, the seasons, there's a balance over the year of light and sunshine and through a day, but every time, everything's moving forward. So it's finding a happy balance for each of us in the moment. So the box is going further down, but bearing in mind, you know, you've got to keep flexible to go with the changes that are happening. Nothing ever stays the same. Everything's constantly moving. All energy everywhere. So to find this moment when you're rooted down, lifted up, breathing comfortably, in this moment now, how is it? And do the arms, so keep one arm up, one down, and stretch the fingers away from each other. So the lower hand can rest on the back thigh, but the other one's stretching up and behind you. It's a nice feeling for the body to be opened up and fresh air coming in. Let the other side have a turn. So the other one down, the other one up. So it's not a twist of the spine is still upright, but you can feel a crossways stretch. And swap it over again. So it's not right or wrong or anything like that, it's just an interesting difference. And down. Come back to the middle. So it's a standing Tadasana again, and close your eyes if you want to feel how it is. How's the balance of the head on the spine, in the pelvis, standing legs on the feet on the ground. So it's the same you, put it another way. So if we turn the one forward, one back, but this time the spine is going to turn, yeah? So you're keeping that knee forward and you're revolving so that your head goes all the way to look behind you. Then lift the arms, just go into it subtly differently, with the palms up. So you're looking behind you with the palms up. Rest into that. So your spine has twisted, the pelvis is forward, the spine has rotated around so that your shoulders are perpendicular to the hips, and then the neck has carried on round to look behind you. And then let the gaze go round the side, all the way around, so that you end up looking forward. So it's just the neck has revolved the other way. Settle into that. And then you can just turn the hands, the lower arms, so that the palms go down. So your palms are down, your feet are down, the pelvis is down, but your upper half is up, looking forward, revolved, open-hearted. And I find these postures quite powerful if you're having a funny moment, or just do a few of these and be firm on the ground, be open, builds the inner strength. And when it's enough, leave that moment and come back to another one. So there's a lovely concept of contentment, santosha is one of the words in Sanskrit, of it's not too much, not too little, it's just enough. And quite often when you do this on your own, there's a sense of, yeah, that's enough of that posture, I've experienced it, I've breathed it, I'll play with another one. So here the box is going down, both feet are supporting you. Adjust the pelvis, because you get an extra nice stretch in the legs. So the body is nearer the ground, you've got the bent knee, and then the spine twists round, so the knee doesn't want to drift. Because we're doing the hands later, you can always put the hand on that thigh to keep that forward leg, pelvis forward, but allow the rotation, the opening, so the shoulders have gone perpendicular to the pelvis and the neck looking behind you. Let the arms float up. Now it's harder work for them to be out to the side than up the top. Palms up so that you keep the shoulders open like a bird's wings. And then looking behind you, obviously this is gorgeous to do outside as well, but whatever room you're in, no, don't worry what it is, but just notice that your gaze changes from what's behind you, through the middle, to looking forward. And then you can finish the posture with turning just the lower arms and hands over. So this is a very strong, rooted, open-hearted. The gesture that you're giving with your body here is looking forward in life, but being firmly rooted, but open-hearted. That's what all these postures are, they're just gestures of your body. And then when that's enough, leave it. So we'll twist that the other way now. We don't normally do this, but just to complete what we're doing with all the others, I'm going to do that forward so you can see me. So one forward, one back. So we take the twist the way you would normally do. I've got the left leg forward, so you'd rotate. I didn't tell you which way to twist, but you will have done the normal way. So looking all the way behind you. And then come back. So you're going to do almost a 360 sweep of looking. The neck is looking the head behind you. Sweep all the way around, not doing the arms yet, to come round to looking the other way. And what you might notice is I'd rather have the back foot a little bit more forward than quite so pointy out. You can adjust that if you want. So not doing the arms yet, just doing the spine. Like we do the sitting postures, if we twist one way, twist the other, one way is more obvious and easier, the other one is a bit more of a challenge. And coming back again with the arms, so you can do it with the arms this time. Looking behind you. Let the neck come to look forward, but keep the arms where they are. And then you can do the whole twist of the top body. So the knees staying forward. But what's interesting is to see how much less far you travel on the reverse rotation, just because you've got a leg forward. If you did this with symmetrical legs, you would go the same each way. But that's just interesting. Doesn't matter. It's a nice twist. And come back and down. Back to the middle. Feel how it is and do the other one. That's the beauty, which is why it's continuously playful and curious. Is, oh, that's interesting. How's that today? But without judging, without blaming yourself or criticising yourself. That's the hard bit. I don't know why we do it, but we do. We wouldn't do it to anybody else. So we're down here. We're going to rotate round what we'd consider the normal way with the knee forward. So you revolve to look behind you. And you might notice, being indoors, I don't know if there's any different indoors or out for this, how far you looked round when we did the reverse twist. I can tell a point of my room here. I was looking at that point. I'm looking a little bit further around this way. Arms up, so you can get involved with them. And then rotate the other way, looking all the way around. Oh yes, it's nowhere near as far. But it's a lovely rotation and involvement of lots of transverse muscles in us. And all the fascia, this network of connective tissue. Breathing comfortably. And coming out. I've got a lovely picture somewhere of the fascial tissue that if you took everything else away, it's just like a lacy cobweb of ourself. It's going through and round and everything. And this connectedness of this practice, all that fascia's moving everywhere, happily sliding, slipping, sliding together. Okay, I wanted to do a balance up from here now. Those are very rooted, very strong. Feel the 2-foot balance. And if the arms of the trees want to come wide, whatever sort of tree you fancy making, we've just done this one, maybe a bit higher, but you're moving the shoulder blades, not just the arms that stick out of the body, it's the whole arm. So the branches are meeting. I mean, I like to do the fingertips meeting. Try the whole palm if you feel like it, but sometimes that feels too much of a strain, like it's restricting me breathing if I've got the palms touching as well. So it's nice to connect, but just to have the fingertips connecting. So that's tree pose with a wider trunk. Coming down. So as we've done before, spreading up, gravity is now just through one side of me, yeah, so that this is spare. Don't need this leg, because gravity is acting all the way down there. And if you then, we're going to put it wherever you want to put it, but those of you that want to get it higher, if you want to play with it, it is a sense of building that leg. So for a long time, toe on the floor is good. That's a long bone of the calf and a very handy muscle to sort of feel rooted onto here. It is a leap up to higher, but the way to do it is to get the hip joint open and moving and be happy on this half, whatever you do with this one, yeah? So that's when we were playing with this one, I think, another time, stretching out with this. And I've lost my balance because I'm looking at you rather than feeling how it is. And that helps you, if you want to play with that one, to place that foot against the long thigh bone. It doesn't have to go there at all. It's just another place to put it, yeah? But psychologically, it's a lot further from the ground. And then the arms, ooh, how is it? Where do the arms want to be to open up? So the purpose of this posture really is to connect with plant life that doesn't walk. It just responds to the sun. But for us as humans, it's a mental focus for us to stay balanced on one foot. But we're upright at the moment. Breathing, being in the moment. Every bit of blade of grass, flower in the garden has got roots down to the earth with gravity down, but they've got also cells in the body that go the opposite way to gravity. How leaves and flowers go up against gravity. It's a different cell. Geotropism. Phototropism is where they respond with the light. The geotropism is cells of the roots that go down, cells of the shoots that go up. It's very clever for my biology days. Because you think, well, okay, gravity's pulling everything down. How does all that stuff go up? but they have a cell with that opposite response to gravity. Very clever, we don't have it. So we're on 2 legs, shift the weight over to the other leg so that spare one isn't needed. Put it wherever, it's just not needed. Everything is down through this side. So if that's where you want to be, or here, if you want to go higher, it's playing with the joint, it's the hip joint, this ball and socket, that's what's doing the play. But I think psychologically a lot of it is that this foot is a lot further away from the ground. Yeah. So to play with it, lifting it higher, those of you that want to can play with the hand to foot we were doing another time. Because it's a tricky posture, but it's a nice way to prepare you for putting the foot on the thigh. And honestly, I've seen so many people, can't do it, and then one day, oh, yes they can. And suddenly the leg finds its way there and it's quite happy. And I think it's not just a flexibility of the body, it's a psychological thing. So it just takes time. Just connect to something in your garden that has got its roots down, shoots up, responding to the sun's energy in the wintertime, in the summertime, and is dependent on nature being blown by the wind and snow and everything that's thrown at plant life. Can't shelter, and we need them. And coming down. Good. So playing with just while we're still on our feet before we make our way down, I think we did this another week, just moving the shoulders. So go down to kneeling and sitting if you'd rather stand up for it. We're just going to play with these 2 postures where we just move the shoulders and arms. If you've had enough and want to kneel or sit, please do, but if you want to stay standing. So hands into the centre is a lovely way for these palms to meet into the heart at the front. And resting the whole shoulder girdle from its 2 connections here. So the ears are a long way, so if you've got a long distance from the shoulders to the ears, you let the whole shoulder girdle rest down. And the chin maybe even slightly tucked in towards the throat so that you can give a bit of extension in the neck. And release tightness in that neck and shoulder area, which so many of us carry so much tightness. So these 2 simple things, worth trying whenever you feel it. It doesn't have to do it formally, but it's a nice thing to do. So if you take them out to the side, but then fold them so that they're going to be in your back, that the fingertips will meet one day, or whatever version you get to at the back. So the heart's open, the heart's still in the same place, but you're touching the back of you where it is, but you're opening your joints at the front and all this musculature across here, which is often quite tight and hunched. So this is a nice way to open it at the back. And then out to the sides. And when you come together with the arms outstretched, they meet. So out again and let them go across each other. And out and cross yourself the other way, which in itself is a nice thing to do, isn't it? Give yourself a pat on the back for turning up, doing your yoga, looking after yourself. But then we'll add another bit, which is the lovely twist here, so that we're going round and the crossover, but then these that are not needed, it's spare bits, you know. Let them twist and wrap and rest. But for us as humans, the bird is just resting its wings at the front or the back. But for us as humans, this posture is an opportunity to let the shoulder blades move and rest and be wrapped and bound together at the front. And how it feels for them all to be wrapped up and not used. And then when you open them up, that freedom that a bird must have as it opens its wings ready to fly. It's coming into land again and wrap them the other way. Whoops, I know which one I did then. That was the automatic one, wasn't it? I haven't told you left and right. Because sometimes, as I've been watching other teachers on Zoom, it's nice to watch the person and mirror what they're doing rather than following the left and right instructions. So I'm offering you that version today. If you want to mirror what I'm doing or do your own left and right. But you can feel, oh no, I've just done that one. It's the other one I want to do. So resting the shoulders down, but it's a lovely way to get a differential stretch within the shoulders, yeah? And down. And then we've had them up, we've had them down, we've had them out. We're going to go opposites. And fingers stretching away. So each shoulder joint's doing something quite different. And then just the fold of the elbows so that the hands probably don't come together, but when they do one day, that's lovely. But the more you try to get the fingers to touch each other, you'll crunch up everywhere else to try to get there. And then the opposite way. Opposite, so it's a lovely movement of all that shoulder blade moving against the, how all that, when you're doing all of this skeleton isn't very mobile because it's actually screwed. Looking at it now, it's not much of a use as a visual aid then, is it? But when you're doing all of this is moving too, and all this is moving, and all that's moving, and it's a very nice thing to do. But you notice the imbalance then, don't you? The one side and the other side. And it's so easy to judge and think, oh dear, I'm not as good at that side. It doesn't matter, because you're using these arms all day. Folding over and up and swapping and back. But it's like everything. The more often you just do a little bit every day, or with some consistency, it happens. It just, remember this book? I think I've shown you all many times. 10 minutes a day can transform your life. It's that Yoga for Over 50s book, which I often refer to. It was £1 in the local second-hand bookshop, but some of it is ridiculous, and I don't think they should have used some of those Asian models that are super flexible. But it's just quite nice. It's not over the top, but I think that strap line at the back, a little bit, regularly, like cleaning your teeth. You clean your teeth every day, you look after your teeth. Oh, that's a good idea. Can see what Bridget's doing there. Wide legs, wide arms, none of this asymmetry business, complete symmetry. So as you do this, there is that natural symmetry, isn't there? Because your legs are similar side to side. It's just a lovely, silly, fun thing to do, I know. Shakes, flick stuff out like a feather duster. Do that with one leg forward, one leg back. So without the bent knee, you're not twisting it as much, are you? Just feel can you feel it in your legs? And how you don't go as much one way than the other. Yeah, that doesn't matter, it's just what it is. It's a lovely movement, and then swap over the other leg, forward and back. And the same flicky. Oh, that side I couldn't go much to before, suddenly can. So what it is. Gorgeous. Good old feather duster spring clean all the way through. So, making our way down, those of you that can and want to, squats are so good. So if you come from the feet, with jack-in-the-box is going down, until don't take the heels off the floor yet. Just come as far as you can without them. And up again. And then we'll do it with the arms this time. So you're coming down. Heels on the floor still. So to get a bit further down, you've got to tip the body forward. So this is actually coming into chair pose before the squat. Which I always think is surprisingly hard work. Doesn't appear to be a lot. So breathe out. And up. Doesn't look a lot, does it? But it is a lot of work. Then when you do it, let the heels come off, it becomes quite a balance. For those of you that want to do it, we're going to get our way down to the floor. So if anybody wants to go directly there, do. But for those of you that want to play with the squat, it is such a good thing to do. A good way to do this is to find a slope in the garden, or wear high heels or a block on the floor, to come into this lovely openness of the back of the hips, but to be upright balancing. And how often do we ever do all of these movements of our body other than coming to a yoga class? But I've seen so many people that do keep this up regularly, and gosh, they're just well and fit and they're flexible, and all you guys, it's really good. So we're squatting here, we're not going to stay here forever. To come down, those of you that want to, come onto knees. If you'd rather come straight to sitting, do. Just to be down for a moment. So think of the jack-in-a-box again, that you've got the box balanced with the head on top, whether you're sitting already or knees. I know some people don't like to do knees. If you need blocks or cushions or anything under you, do. Just be for a moment down here. The gravity honours, we're nearer the earth now. The head is not held so high. So a slight forward bend wherever you are, just to take a forward bend from here nearer the ground. The head might reach the ground. And coming up, and take yourself back so that you open the front of the body. So think when we just did that with the hands on the heart, yeah? Your heart's in the middle, but you're going forward and then back, opening the spine at the back, opening the spine at the front, coming up, opening the spine at the sides. So we're on the same side plane now. But as always, breathing comfortably all the time. This awareness of your breathing, it's your life force. But also it's keeping all the structures of you open and flexible and working. And then rotating. So we're going to be from here, rotating one, it'll be symmetrical. So rotating one way, feel how it is. And what's interesting is each time I think, oh, well, that's interesting, there's a stretch there. I didn't know that needed stretching, but it's nice to do so. Just to release tension. And that's a sort of partly mind-body thing. That, yeah, I'll give myself permission to release some of that tightness by breathing out. And then come around and let the other side have a play. But what's interesting is when you've got your underneath symmetrical, to notice the symmetry or maybe slightly not. And then when you really change the underneath, you've really got a big change in the top as well. Now coming back to the middle. So we'll make our way to the floor. I'm just going to tip the screen a minute. So we've got the box finally on the floor. Isn't that lovely when you actually get your bottom on the floor? Right, so then it's what to do with these. Loads of options. But put them somewhere where you can get that sense of balance again. So that the box is planted on the floor. You'll feel the sitting bones. It's like the little feet on the bottom of the box, but house the spine with this head on top. So would the head rest down into the pelvis? Is the head over the pelvis? It doesn't matter, I'm not going to measure it or look at it or anything, but that's the way to sort of get this sense of gravity. And the balance then of your head on top, give yourself a nod and a shake, yes and no, and a revolve of the head. So you become aware of the pivot point at the top of the spine. Slowly, slowly revolving the head. One way and then the other way. And I know there'll be funny noises, which is a good signal to slow it down. But that's the balance point, is for the skull. Come back to the centre and find that is quite intriguing. The balance point. Let me just show you this again, because I was doing something and I thought, yes, isn't it interesting? There's the spine underneath the skull there in the middle. So it's sort of behind your eyes, between the ears. That's really where the top of the spine is, and then this balances on top of that. So quite often we're forward, which is a heck of a strain coming all the way down here. So the more we can keep aware of occasionally when we're walking or sitting or even just momentarily through a day, of having this sense of gravity from there's the crown, that point there at the top of the spine. It's not actually at the top of the head. This is the whole crown you're wearing. But that alignment of gravity all the way through, whether you're standing to the feet or whether you're sitting on the ground. It's a kind of restful place to put yourself. It's also rather nice just to take a moment occasionally just to feel that, to do that. So let's take the legs wide, which standing, notice the difference. Standing, oh yeah, it was lovely and symmetrical and more balanced taking the legs wider. On the floor, for a lot of us, it's not as much, is it? We're not used to doing this. So take a little bend of the legs if you want, like an arch of your foot. And let the arms come up. And then one stays up, one stays down, and you get a nice side stretch over. So feel the roots on the floor. You're like a little tree with really good roots on the floor. What's happening to these branches blowing over in the wind this side? Breathing comfortably, the whole rib basket's opening. And coming back and doing the other side. coming down, and then rotating. So we can do it with wide legs, going a rotation over each straight leg. If you want to bring the leg in, I like it. It doesn't matter, it's just different postures. It's just invitation to play with. What do I quite fancy now? We haven't got that much longer together. So we're going up, revolving, and forward over the straight leg. Coming up and swapping it over. If you did do a leg coming in, bring the leg in. If you'd rather keep them out, the idea is we're now coming up and revolving over the other one, which it's the same revolve each way, left and right, but it'll be drawing on different bits of you to get a nice release of tension somewhere. It's always intriguing to see, whoa, where's that, what effect's this going to have? Going forward this side, changing my leg. Making your way up. So, a comfortable seated place, just for a moment before you lie down. I wanted to remind you of we've balanced the body a lot, we've done both ways. I want to just do a quick reminder of the alternate nostril breathing, which is a lovely practice. So find a comfortable place to sit, whether it's cross-legged or bound angle or however. So, head over the pelvis. If you imagine you could just drop the head down into the pelvis. So really balance, top and bottom, left and right, forward and back. So we've done lots of movement of one side of the ribs open, one more the other side, and with gravity where the ribs have been as well. So on a much subtler level, subtler balancing of the energy. It can be done without the hand, but I think it's quite a nice way to learn because it just gets you the idea. But you don't have to do it with the hand at all. I often have done it in times without. You breathe out through one side and then in through one side. I think of it like playing tennis, knock a ball over to the other side, out and in. So if you want to do it with the fingers, they can fully or partially block the nostrils. So breathe out through the right side and in. Close the right side and out through the left. And in. Close the left. Out through the right. And in through the right. Close the right. Over to the left. Down, out. And in. And over. So you might want to extend the breath. Play with it on your own. Keep going out and in on one side. And if you want to make the whole in and out longer each side, that's good. And you might notice one side's a bit more bunged up than the other. Just don't fully block it. Just allow it to be. It's very calming, very focusing for the mind, and very balancing on a very subtle level. So it's called Nadi Shodhana, which is balancing of the nadis, the subtle energy channels. It's just often referred to as alternate nostril breathing because you are letting each nostril breathe out, breathe in. Other side, breathe out, breathe in, like we did lots of other. So when you're ready, lie down. And what I'll do is let you be lying and turn Zoom off so that you can lie for as long as you want, because what's becoming a lovely practice on Zoom is that you can stay longer, and I certainly have quite often, and I don't know how long it is, and it doesn't matter, but the beauty of this posture is you integrate everything. It's always good to start with the feet on the floor, wherever you want to rest the body. It doesn't have to be on your back, it could be sitting, could be lying on your front. Wherever would be a lovely place to put your body, you've decided, so that you can be fully resting on the ground, not balancing on one foot, which is a real kindness to let yourself have this moment. And I always think it's good to start with the knees bent if you're lying on the floor, just to settle the pelvis, lengthen the spine again, and a few breaths. And then often that informs, do I want the legs out long? Do I want them on a chair? I know that's then a bit of a fiddle to sort of get the other equipment sorted. A pillow under the knees can be quite nice, but whatever is going to be a lovely place to put yourself for as long as you want to have or can have, whatever else you're doing. If you're in a rush, it's still worth cutting the time a bit shorter so that you can have a good few minutes rest. I know when people have come to live classes and they've got to go, it's always good to stop and do a little bit of this before you go. It's sort of the, well, I can't think of another analogy that's the same, but it's just a rest for all aspects of yourself. Your body, your nervous system, your breathing, the mental busyness. To be in your body, feeling it resting, feeling the breath settle in and out. It's a real kindness. So just a bit of guidance in the posture, like everything else. It's the ground first. How do you meet the ground? And feeling all those points of contact. Knowing that you're warm enough, that you've got a blanket. Noticing the senses that you're picking up, that you therefore feel quite safe. What your nose picks up. What your mouth. Rest the jaw if you notice there's some tightness there. Let the tongue just go around on the teeth. You can feel the sensations, the touch in the mouth. And then rest the tongue. And if the eyes are closed, notice that you can let light through the eyelids. And then rest your whole eyes to rest in. And often we get moments of insight. And enjoy what you can hear. So you've acknowledged all the senses. Thank you very much. They're all quite safe. They've all been rather nice. So let them all rest. And when the body's very rested now, the body's still. It's easy to do the body, isn't it? When you've made it warm and safe and lots of ground contact. Mind can be quite busy. So if you think of the concept of mindfulness, let the mind be full of not as much of lots of stuff, just one thing. And the one thing that's always present is us breathing. So let that be some sort of focus for the mind. It's why we enjoy just resting, looking at the sea, looking at the clouds, watching a flower, letting the mind focus on just that thing. But when we're lying in this posture, eyes rested, your full mind's attention could be the touch or the smell, but then it's lovely also to acknowledge your breathing. Let that out breath go. And the miracle of the new breath coming in. And it's hard to keep the attention of the mind. But when we encourage this, do it regularly. Whether you're lying or sitting, it's a good thing to do for yourself. Doesn't have to be done in a formal practice, but it's good to regularly do so. So it's wonderful that everybody's joined to do this class now and then rested. So I'll turn Zoom off in a moment, close the door quietly so that you can rest as long as you want. And that greeting of Namaste is honouring this light energy, the alive energy that there is in you as in everybody else. So whether it's those on Zoom at the moment or at home or out in the wider world, it's that connection of all the aspects of yourself and what we've just been doing, but then yourself with everything and everyone else. Namaste. I'll quietly close